We were joined by a lawyer, Douglas Obankwa. Douglas, it's wonderful to have you join us. Let's get started, shall we? I mean, let's look at the specific legal provisions. What are those legal provisions in Nigeria and Ghana that address human trafficking, especially in cases involving minors? Although our correspondent here says it's between the ages of these boys are between 18 and above. But how effective are these laws in persecuting traffickers and protecting the victims?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. First, I want to say that the legal framework for prosecution of human traffickers in Nigeria and Ghana, they are quite similar. They are particularly being, they're being regurgitated by global international best practices and some kind of international protocols that have been signed by both countries. But beyond the legalese and the finesse of the legal framework, we have to look at the workability of the laws in both countries. I went on a little bit of a research on the legal framework in both countries, and I came up with very interesting perspectives, particularly because both of them are being, there's a little bit of the United States Department for Justice, and also the United States Department for State Department. They're both like watchdog on what happens in both countries, and it does appear as if they did a very damning revelation on what happens in both countries. And I want to tell you that, but from what I found, that it does appear as if the Nigerian regulatory agencies are far more ahead of the Ghanaian regulatory agencies. This is particularly because immigration or migration, whether regular or irregular, are things that can be controlled by government. And watching your very interesting news report, and I must commend News Central for this is citizens, would I call it citizens' participation in security architecture. This is a normal thing. It sounds like maybe like it's something that is new. This is something that is normal, the Nigerian spectrum. And I want to say this without any fear of contradiction, that the parents of these children should be further interrogated, because these children cannot just proceed on a transnational journey without their parents being involved. And I say this because I'm a litigation lawyer, and I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm also been involved in a lot of human trafficking matters, either as a lawyer for the complainant, as a defense lawyer. So I need to say, quite frankly, that the parents, they have a lot to say. These are teenagers, for God's sake.
Right.
We all have children. It's not.
This has been a protracted investigation. It started out when our special correspondent, investigative journalism here, Marshall Onoye, went into to meet the parents of these boys, and they were both single mothers who were literally very much of the lower class and just trying to get by. And just by speaking with them and the accounts that they gave, the mothers said that they were out of job and they were looking for a job. One of them met an agent who wanted to give him a job, while the other said it was for a creative industry, for acting in a role, and just like that they left. But away from that, let's talk about those legal frameworks we're talking about. This is a collaborative effort between News Central and the Ghanaian police. But let's bring Nigeria into this in terms of facilitating cross-border investigations and persecution. This is clearly 5 boys have been rescued, but this, if you want to widen the scope of this is really worrying in terms of how many boys or how many girls have been trafficked in the case of seeking for work, or even better yet, to jackpot. And we know what the socioeconomic climb is for Nigeria. So I'd like for you to talk about just the international legal framework for both countries to collaborate in situations like this.
Thank you very much. Nigeria and Ghana are both signatories to international protocols that are stemmed towards preventing such irregular migration. Because as you can find, this is an irregular migration. The migration that is being spawned by organized crime. From my research on this issue prior to this interview, I want to say that there seem to be a lot of indictments on the Nigerian security agencies and the Nigerian justice system. And also same indictment appears to be prevalent on the Ghanaian security agency and Nigerian and Ghanaian justice system. However, I want to say that interestingly, it doesn't appear as if the Nigerian system seems to have done more on curbing this very tragic situation that your station, I want to say, thankfully, I've been able to reveal to the world. It does appear as if there seems to be, Nigerians need to understand how this thing works. These kids are not just kids that they just picked on the streets. First of all, let me just say this story. It starts from courtesy. These kids will first of all be initiated into courts. And the reason that they will initiate them into courts so that they will be able to find some kind of leverage on them. And when you talk about the chairman in this instance, talking about the capon in the courts.
Right.
That the chairman on the run, they're talking about the capon in the courts. So courtesy is actually the fulcrum.
I'm glad you
drives the process.
I'm glad you're talking a bit more about this case, because I'm just being informed that we have our correspondent who's joining us live now. We're going to cross over to Ghana, where New Central Special Investigative Correspondent Marsha Onoye is standing by for more on this, to give us more information. But Marsha, it's good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. What new information do we have on the successful rescue of the boys?
Hospital and with some of the victims from the police force headquarters, and they want to take them to the hospital to take some treatments, because the Ghanaian police realized that the victims, some of them were malnourished and had very severe injuries in their hands, and so they are taking them to the hospital for treatment. That's basically what we're here for.
Ask as well. So far, so good. Has there been any news as regards when they will return home and be able to reunite with their families?
Well, yes, they would have to be processed. There are procedures to follow. Haven't, rescued them. The Ghanaian police are aware that their parents are waiting on the other side of the border, hoping to welcome them back. But back here in Ghana, there are procedures that, would lead up to them being returned home after being rescued.
I mean, more importantly, everyone is very curious about this so-called chairman. Who is he? What do we know about this person at this time?
Well, for starters, we have his travel document, and in that travel document we have his name, we know where he's from, we know what he looks like. It's a very essential, we know what he looks like, and we do know that the police would be putting out an APB on him, and hopefully they would be on his trail, and hopefully they apprehend him.
Now, I mean, Marshall, I was talking to our lawyer here earlier, and he was saying that oftentimes when they refer to someone as chairman, there seems to be some sort of court and there's an initiation process going on. Or, I mean, besides that, what have you heard from the boys regarding the chairman? Have they spoken about, their relationship with him, and why do they refer to him as chairman?
Yes, Chairman. Well, I'll be taking that question while we walk to the ward where the boys are supposed to be admitted, if you don't mind. Well, he's referred to as the chairman because that's what he's commonly referred to by all the victims he's holding or in his holding or under his holding. And we do know that he is the boss of the syndicate that that particular unit is under. And we know that he is the person who is in charge of the funds, the monies come to his account. Right there at the station, after the rescue mission, several interrogations went on, and we also discovered that several monies had come, they had come into some monies in the course of 2-3 weeks ago. One of the guy whom we apprehended was said to have huge amount of money in his account, and they're looking into all of that. So for why he's the chairman, of course, certainly because he's the boss of that particular syndicate that was busted today.
All right. Well, Marshal, I must say thank you. I can see you're very busy there. I'm going to let you go.
Are we going to the ward? Okay. So we're going. I just hope you still have us. Are we still live with you?
Oh, yes. We are with us. Do you have anything for us? Because we want to let you go now.
Okay, so I wanted to get to the hospital to ensure that, to show that they are being treated in the hospital. Remember earlier on, we did say that one of them had a fracture in his hand, and then the other boy had several injuries on his back inflicted on him with a machete. And so they will be running some tests on them and then eventually treating them, all on the bills of the Ghanaian police.
All right.
And if you may, I could take 1 or 2 questions with the boys here. Why is chairman referred to as chairman? I was asked that question, but I'm hoping that you could give a different narrative to that.
We actually don't know, because when we got there, he said he was that we should be addressing him as chairman, and that was it, because he just said, okay, when we get to the house, we should be addressing him as chairman. And
when was the last time you had your bath?
Like 2 days ago. 2 days ago.
And when was the last time you had a meal in that house?
Also 2 days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago. Also, we've been hungry and stuff for like 2 days. So.
And despite the starvation, you're expected to do what?
We expect to continue to work for him, that is, do those fraudulent activities for him and the rest.
Okay, there you have it from one of the victims, Daniel, Zil, who was rescued today.
Well, Marshal,
might you have any other question for them?
No questions at all. I'm going to let them go have their treatment, get a meal, have a hot bath, go to bed, and then tomorrow we go down this rabbit hole again. But once again, many thanks. Marshal Onoye there, our investigative correspondent live in Ghana there, just giving us update on the boys that were rescued there in Ghana following them being trafficked from Nigeria, from their homes in Ghana. And also, I want to say many thanks to our lawyer who's been on standby, just helping us understand this when it comes to a legal framework and what possible legal redress is available for the victims, as well as prosecuting those when it concerns this cross-border human trafficking case. And that's Douglas Obakwa. Douglas, many thanks. We appreciate you for doing this with us.